Hello students. So today we are going to talk about some of the pre-independence era poets of Indian writings in English. And in this series, first of all, we are going to talk about Toru Dutt. Toru Dutt occupies a prominent place in the history of Indo-Anglian poetry. When she started writing, Indo-Anglian poetry was in its infancy. Her predecessors like Derozio, Kashi Prasad, Ghosh, and Michael Madhusudan Dutt were mere explorers in the field, and it is not till we come to her that we find the first solid achievement in Indo Anglian poetry. Toru was a frail and fragile in her physical appearance. Toru Dutt was the youngest of three siblings: Abju, her brother, Aru, her sister, and Toru. The first calamity that befell the family was the death of Abju at the age of 14 in 1865. For their consolation, the sisters began to read Paradise Lost till it became a part of their poetic makeup. In 1869, the Dutt family left for Europe, and the two girls attended a French school. A year later, the family went to London, where Toru and Aru took lessons in music and became good musicians. Toru's knowledge of French and English was astonishing. So intimately did she identified herself with everything that was French that French became her favorite language and France the country of her choice. In 1871, the Dutt family moved to Cambridge, where both the sisters attended the lectures for women and made friends with Miss Mary Martin. In 1873, the entire family returned to Calcutta after a lapse of 4 years. Aru Dutt, her elder sister, died at the age of 20 due to consumption. Toru, along with her father, started studying Sanskrit in 1875. She published A Sheaf Cleaned in French Fields in 1876. She learned Sanskrit. She read Ramayana, Mahabharata, and Shakuntala and translated a few pieces from the original Sanskrit into English verse. By 1877, Toru's health had run down. She was ill, very ill, and had recurrent attacks of fever, cough, spasm, and blood spitting. On August 30th, 1877, Toru Dutt breathed her last, leaving behind her parents totally deserted and depressed. If we talk about her works first of all appeared in the December 1874 when her first essay appeared in the Bengal magazine. In June and July 1875 appeared A Scene from Contemporary History. These are the prose works. In 1876, under the title A Sheaf Cleaned in French Field, was published. This was the only volume that Toru saw through the press in her life. After her death, her father examined her papers and found, among other things, an unfinished romance in English entitled Bianca or the Young Spanish Maiden, and a complete French novel called Les Journal de Mademoiselle de Hervers. Bianca was first published serially in the Bengal magazine between January and April 1878. Toru genius reached its culmination in Ancient Ballads and Legends of Hindustan, which was published in 1882. Toru was a pioneer in the field of Indo Anglian poetry. It is customary to begin a survey of Indo Anglian poetry with her, and indeed she was the first authentic Indo Anglian. Toru that wrote, in few years she was destined to live some exquisite poetry, displaying an amazing maturity of mind and feeling. Her poetic output is meagre but splendid. One is only left speculating about her extraordinary talent and creative fertility, which could have enabled her to reach the unexpected heights of poetic achievements had the race of her life not been so quickly run. If we talk about our Casuarina tree, this poem was published in 1881 at the end of Ancient Ballads, where there were seven miscellaneous poems which immediately display Toru's creative power at its best. They are more or less personal poems. Our Cassandra tree is one of the miscellaneous poems out of the seven poems, and all these poems are autobiographical.